Hey everybody, CVH here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the monthly reward card for the month of September that was just revealed for the Elder Scrolls Legends. Every month I like to go over the monthly reward card and just give my initial thoughts after seeing the card for the first time, potential metagame implications, and all that good stuff. So let's get right into it for the September monthly reward card. Emperor's Blade, another dual attribute class specific card. This one for Spell Sword, first time we've seen a Spell Sword specific card as the monthly reward card. And sorry for the low quality screen grab there. This was actually revealed accidentally on the Elder Scrolls Legends Facebook page. They usually go up a couple days after this. I think it was supposed to be revealed tomorrow officially, but since this was leaked and then immediately taken down on Facebook, we've got the information a bit early. A lot of people have already seen it, so I thought, why not record a video and get ahead of the rush, basically. A lot of people have already seen this leak and given their opinions on the card, so I might as well follow suit. Also, as a casual reminder about how you get these monthly reward cards, they're attained through the ranked ladder in Legends. If you achieve rank 9 in a month, you get 1 copy of the card. Rank 5 will give you 2 copies of the card, and rank 1 or Legend will unlock the full playset of this card, 3 copies at the beginning of the next month. So let's talk about the basics of this card first. First, we can talk about the stats of the card. 4 cost, 4/5, so basically a Stone Tooth Scrapper. As long as it has an upside, it could be even better, but already the stats are reasonable. I think a lot of us were thinking about Ulfric's Housecarl leading up to this monthly reward card, a Crusader class card, and that was a 4 cost, 3/4, and it was actually a little bit underwhelming at first to a lot of people, but it has made quite an impact in competitive play. You'll see Ulfric's Housecarl in a ton of different aggressive Crusader decks, from the aggro decks to the token decks, and I think we were all hoping that they could sort of keep that train rolling with the next monthly reward card. And that's especially true because this card is a Spellsword class card, and if you ask most players right now playing at a high level, they'll probably tell you that Spellsword is among the least popular classes currently. There are Control Spellsword decks, but typically those are not as played compared to decks like Control Mage and even Ramscout. There are aggro Spellsword decks, or more mid-rangey Spellsword decks, but no one really plays those when they can play mid-range Archer, or mid-range Sorcerer, or mid-range Mage, and even the token Spellsword variants that used to be really popular about a year ago have sort of fallen out of favor due to Token Crusader. Ulfric's Housecarl has played a part in that as well. So, Emperor's Blade, the fact that it already has good stats compared to Ulfric's Housecarl, which was a 3/4, does start to be a little bit optimistic for the card. Emperor's Blade also has Guard, and it's being at 4 cost, it has led to many people comparing it to Hive Defender, which is one of the most popular guards in the game for basically any willpower deck you will see. Typically they have 3 copies of Hive Defender in there, but that's not where it ends with Emperor's Blade. It also has the Slay effect, gain 3 health. So whenever this card attacks and destroys a creature, you'll be gaining 3 health to your hero, basically. You as the player will be gaining 3 health. It doesn't gain the card any health, it just gains you the health. So it's basically a way for you to gain life while also defending, and it has reasonable stats to boot. One thing I've noticed as I was browsing the forums and talking about this a little bit on stream earlier today is a lot of people, and this is something it shares with Ulfric's Housecarl as well, in addition to both of them being monthly reward cards and both being very, class specific, you can only play them in one specific class, Ulfric's Housecarl for Crusader, this card for Spellsword. Another similarity is that many people aren't sold on their power level on first glance. I've seen a lot of people say this card seems underwhelming, not something they expect they'll see a lot of play, and I'm actually kind of confused as to why. On first glance for me, and this is really weird for me. I'm not usually the person saying a card's going to be good while everyone around me says it's going to be underwhelming. Usually it's sort of the opposite of that, as you guys might have realized if you watched my Heroes of Skyrim set review. But I actually think Emperor's Blade is reasonable at worst and really, really good at best. As far as stats go, it passes the test. The vanilla test is a 4 cost, 4/5, and it has Guard, which is already an upside in addition to the Slay effect. So basically this is a lot of things that a Control Spellsword deck in particular would want packed into one. It gives you the Guard, it gives you the heal, and it gives you reasonable stats. Not only is it comparable to the Hive Defender, it's also comparable to Knight of the Hour, which is a guard and gives you the heal, but doesn't really have reasonable stats. It's a 5 cost 3/3 instead of a 4 cost 4/5. Obviously, Knight of the Hour has Prophecy, but Emperor's Blade is going to feel a lot better when you get to play it from your hand. And yeah, a lot of people are saying, well, the stats aren't really quite as good as Hive Defender. They have the same amount of stats, but Hive Defender sacrifices 1 attack value for another health. But this card, in addition to the Slay effect, I will say, it's not always the worst to have 4 attack on a body like this. This could sometimes trade better than Hive Defender depending on what you're up against, and if you are the one initiating the trade with Emperor's Blade, you are going to gain that little incremental bit of health, which is going to be really relevant if you're a control deck. Besides that, I don't really care too much for the logic of this card is a little bit worse than Hive Defender a lot of the time, therefore it's not going to be that good, because Hive Defender is really, really, really good, like basically every deck that uses yellow is going to want to play 3 Hive Defenders, and I think that means that if this card is just slightly worse than Hive Defender, it's still probably better than a lot of the other cards in your deck. So maybe at this point we can just consider this similar to Hive Defender in that maybe my deck wants to play 5 or 6 Hive Defenders instead of just playing 3. And I think that's especially true for Control Spellsword, because that deck could really benefit from more powerful things to do on curve early in the game. Control Spellsword lists now sort of rely on their late game, and this gives it a very Spellsword specific card that it can play and really say, hey, this is why Spellsword Control is something you should look into, as opposed to Control Mage. This is just another powerful option that we have access to that no other control deck has access to. And I think that's a really good thing to see being developed by Direwolf Digital here, because Spellsword has just sort of been not, the go-to control deck for a while, like I mentioned, and it's good to have more reasons to push you into decks that are a little bit unloved at the moment. However, I don't think Spellsword Control is the only place for Emperor's Blade. The fact that it is a little bit more aggressively statted than Hive Defender could be a downside a lot of the time when you're utilizing it for the guard, but this card being a 4-cost 4/5, the Stone Tooth Scrapper stats, or Chillwind Yeti if you do come from the old days of Hearthstone, that is a pretty good aggressive stat line, honestly. Still has enough health to survive multiple trades, still has enough health to survive Lightning Bolt, which is very critical, as we've seen many cards need that 5th point of health in the meta to be truly viable, and this card could really help you in sort of an aggressive mirror match. If you're playing Token Spellsword or a mid-range Spellsword in particular, I'm excited for, just a curve-out deck. Again, not a whole lot of reason to play a mid-range Spellsword deck when prior you could just play mid-range Sorcerer or mid-range Archer, and this is a powerful turn 4 option that's going to be decent aggressively because it has good stats, and also good defensively because it has that guard and the slay effect that no other mid-range deck is going to have access to, no other token deck is going to have access to, and especially against other token decks, having, additional pseudo Hive Defenders is going to be pretty powerful in my opinion. So not to ramble on too much, I like the card. I think it's a lot better than a lot of people have been giving it credit for so far. Obviously, this card literally just got revealed, hasn't even technically officially been revealed yet, so a lot more to talk about. And of course, as soon as we get our hands on this card, I know as soon as they get officially revealed, they're available in Arena and off random card effects, like you can Wabbajack into it or something like that. But as soon as we get our hands on it at the beginning of October, I expect to, personally, I'll be testing this card a good bit, and I'm sure many other players will be. So this is all speculation at this point, just wanted to get my first opinions out there, my first impressions of the card, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So if you have any opinion on Emperor's Blade or the monthly reward cards trends in general, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you think. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and stay subscribed to the channel for more Legends content. Follow my stream in the description. I'll see you guys next time.